Joining me is Citizens United President Dave Bossie. Dave, I thank you so much for being with us. You're there in D.C. And in an op-ed that you wrote, powerful piece, and it was on Breitbart.com, you cite a Citizens United poll showing less than 6% of people want their representative to retain present leadership in the U.S. House of Representatives. Why do you think that is? Are people getting fed up?
You know what? Thanks for having me, Governor. It's time. It's time for choices and strong decisions. What Mark Levin said is exactly right. And what Mark Meadows said about the leadership wanting you to come over here into Washington, D.C. and hand over your voting card to them, in effect. And that's what's wrong with our democracy. And I think we don't have a strong leadership. John Boehner's had 4 years, 3 election cycles to add to his conservative majority and actually do something for America. And he has failed at every level.
And as you are saying that the status quo has got to go, and it sounds like so many Americans are saying the same thing, what kind of blowback are you getting, Dave?
You know what? I just have to say that Ted Cruz and Donald Trump are helping us a lot, because those two are leading the charge. Whether people agree or disagree with them on every substantive issue is not important. What they are showing, and what Carly Fiorina and Ben Carson are showing, is that the American people are fed up with Washington. They're fed up with status quo, and they want real change. And in order to have change, you need to have a man or woman willing to tear it up by its roots. And that's why folks like us do get blowback, but we stand strong for what we believe in.
Oh, and like Reagan used to say, you know, you stiffen your spine and you're going to see those around you stiffen their spine too. We're all in this together. There seems to be a lot of unsatisfied Republicans right now, and you see that feuding going on the Senate side. Mitch McConnell, you're speaking of Ted Cruz, he's butting heads with Ted Cruz. What's going on there?
You know, it's the same thing in the Senate. The difference is that Mark Meadows figured out that in the House, there's a solution to the problem. In the Senate, there's really not the same mechanisms to remove leadership. So I'm actually quite impressed with the Meadows motion. I believe that September and October coming, Mitch McConnell and John Boehner are going to have to watch very closely what they do legislatively, because that hanging over John Boehner's head is going to force them to not bring back the XM Bank, a corrupt crony capitalist bank that their friends and allies wanted so desperately. They're going to have to think about how to defund Planned Parenthood. They're not going to be able to bust the budget caps as easily. They're not going to be able to increase our national debt ceiling as easily, because that's what they've done historically. Come in and rolled everybody. What Mark Meadows has done is really a tremendous thing for America and really for the conservative movement, because they can hold both these leaders honest.
Well, he's a breath of fresh air, as are you, Dave, and Citizens United and Breitbart and Levin, those entities, those people who have the guts to call it like we see it. And you bring up the presidential candidates, Cruz, Trump, those who are kind of schooling the other candidates when it comes to what it is that the people are talking about and what we need. And we just crave truth, and we do crave action.
That's right, and I'll just tell you that we're all following a little bit in someone named Sarah Palin's footsteps, because you did it before all of us, and I just want to thank you for that, because it is truly a national movement that began years ago. And I think it's just now that the American people are recognizing that, you know what, I can't stand anymore. My children and my grandchildren will not have the America that we had. And I think that that's what a lot of people, your average man and woman working in America trying to raise a family, is recognizing. It's a frightening thing.
Yeah, you are so good on this too, articulating what it is that, you know, Joe Sixpack, what we're thinking out here. So, you know, keep up that good work. Hey, in your op-ed, you're mentioning Congressman Meadows as perhaps a good fit for House leadership. You still thinking that?
You know what? He is a tremendous intellect. He's a tremendous man of character, and I think he would be a tremendous leader in the United States House of Representatives. I think we have a lot of good people. You know, I get offended, I get easily offended when people say, well, no one else can do the job but John Boehner. Look, there's 330 million Americans, and we can't find anybody not named Clinton or Bush to run for president. And in the House, they want to say the same thing. Only John Boehner can run the Congress. And I think that is so far from the truth that we have 434 other men and women in there, 238 Republicans. There's tremendous people like Jim Jordan, Jeb Hensarling, and many, many others that can do the job of Speaker of the House and do it for the American people and for the right reasons, and not for themselves and their friends and allies.
Well, speaking of the Clintons, with all these liberal scandals, all these scandals involving the Clintons still, Hillary specifically, it's a real dangerous situation for our republic because they are being ignored. They're being, we have to see these distractions in the mainstream media so that we will just kind of move on from one to the next with no resolution. Give us a solution.
Well, I think the solution on the Democratic side, his name is going to be Joe Biden. I think that actually John Kerry, Governor Brown, from California, you're going to see, I think, possibly a host of folks get in. There's a lot of things happening, all bad for Hillary Clinton in the next week or two. The email problem, the emails, not just the security, not just the intelligence aspect of it, but the corruption that is Clinton Inc. What goes on behind the curtain that people like you and I have been following for years of what Bill and Hillary Clinton did during his time in the White House and her time as Secretary of State. All of the foreign leaders, the foreign money, really the rogue nations that want to give to them to gain access. That's all coming, and it's going to just continue to come out and pour out and gush out, and it's just going to make guys like Joe Biden, the vice president, and John Kerry, Jerry Brown, Elizabeth Warren, I think they're all going to have to take a very serious look that she's so damaged, she's not going to be able to win in November.
Well, there are some exciting times up ahead. Citizens United, Dave Bossie, you're rocking and rolling. Keep it up. America appreciates your great efforts. Very effective.